This is an ABP Life podcast.
Hello and welcome to Clear Cut by ABP Live podcast, a show tailored for the simple truth that there's nothing more important to a democracy than a well-informed electorate. This is your newsman Rudrashish signing in on a wonderful Wednesday evening. So we've been hearing a lot about the Al-Qaeda leader Ayman al-Zawahiri these days, about how US President Joe Biden and a close circle of senior advisors secretly planned the operation to eliminate al-Zawahiri for months. So today, let your newsman help you explain the history and facts to understand the assassination of Al-Qaeda's leader Ayman al-Zawahiri. So Al-Qaeda is a transnational Sunni Islamist terrorist organization and a network of affiliates that the US intelligence community described as of early 2022 as one of the groups that probably pose the greatest threat to US homeland and its interests abroad, and a potential source of inspiration to domestic extremists. In 1988, Osama bin Laden established Al-Qaeda from a network of Arab and other foreign veterans of the Afghan insurgency against the Soviet Union, with the aim of supporting Islamist causes in conflicts around the world. After the 1991 Gulf War, citing opposition to the decision by Saudi Arabia to host US troops, the group made the United States its primary target. Al-Qaeda conducted a series of terrorist attacks against the United States, including the devastating 9/11 attacks. After 9/11, the United States launched military operations to topple the Taliban government in Afghanistan and expanded its counter-terrorism efforts worldwide. Some Al-Qaeda leaders fled to Pakistan. Now Al-Qaeda's attacks against the United States and Western targets worldwide continued in the years after 9/11. But the group failed a major attack inside the United States since then. Now after Osama bin Laden was assassinated by US Navy SEALs in Pakistan in 2011, Ayman al-Zawahiri was made the leader of Al-Qaeda. So the US campaign against Al-Qaeda, now in its third decade, spans a wide array of policy areas. The United States has conducted airstrikes on Al-Qaeda targets in at least 7 countries since 2012. Though the United States in 2021 removed military forces from Afghanistan and repositioned military forces from Somalia, where they were supporting counter-terrorism operations to neighboring countries. Beyond direct military action, the United States seeks to combat Al-Qaeda and other terrorist threats by, with, and through local partners, including the provision of security assistance, and in some cases, logistical or advisory support. Recently, after months of planning, the United States has killed the world's most wanted terrorist, the leader of Al-Qaeda, Ayman al-Zawahiri, in a drone strike in Afghanistan. He was taken out in a counter-terrorism operation carried out by the Central Investigation Agency in the Afghan capital of Kabul on Sunday 31st July. US President Joe Biden and a close circle of senior advisors secretly planned the operation to kill al-Zawahiri. In April, US intelligence officials informed the president about placing Zawahiri at a safe house in Kabul. They identified his wife, daughter, and children. The women used terrorist tradecraft to ensure that no one followed them, exercising long-standing terrorist tradecraft to prevent anyone from tracking them to the Al-Qaeda leader. Eventually, Zawahiri showed up earlier in the year and never left. Zawahiri arrived at a house in Kabul earlier this year, which was tracked by the United States. Closely monitoring the safe house, the US officials established a pattern, which included the leader of Al-Qaeda coming to the balcony from time to time. Then a plan was chalked out, keeping in mind that the building's structural integrity is not compromised, and civilian deaths were completely avoided. On 1st July, Biden met with key national security officials, namely CIA Director Bill Burns, Director of National Intelligence Avril Haines, National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan and his deputy John Feiner, and Homeland Security Advisor Liz Sherwood Randall to discuss the developments. So after detailed planning, US President Joe Biden approved a precisely tailored airstrike to take out Zawahiri. 5 days later, Zawahiri was killed by 2 missiles fired at his Kabul house. The strike involved a US drone armed with 2 precision-guided Hellfire missiles. After the attack, President Joe Biden expressed hope that the killing of al-Zawahiri brings one more measure of closure to the families of the 9/11 attacks. Now, Colonel Danvir Singh Chauhan joins us on the show today to share his clear-cut take on this issue. So, sir, welcome to the show. It's an honor to talk with you again on another geopolitical issue that's been going on and it's been the talk of the town. So, welcome to Clear Cut, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me, and it is always a pleasure talking to you.
Same here, sir. Same here. So, sir, Ayman al-Zawahiri's assassination is seen as another marvelous state-of-the-art intelligence and technology used by the US armed forces. How do you see this whole operation conducted by the US, and do you think US is getting better at eliminating global terrorists by each day?
See, there is no doubt about that. This was a very fantastic operation, clean operation, intelligence-based operation that has gone absolutely successful. And in this operation, they have been able to eliminate number 2 of Osama bin Laden al-Zawahiri, who is supposed to be the master planner when it came to 9/11. And the most interesting part of this whole story is the India angle. When I'm saying the India angle, it is when he had issued that hijab warning video. That video gave away his location. The intelligence team that cracked the digital codes, they identified from where that video was uploaded, where it was recorded, and that is how he was tracked to the present location. And various intelligence efforts like electronic intelligence, the physical intelligence there at Kabul by the American agents, they all contributed towards building a picture and where that guy was hiding. Once it became clear, then of course technology was put into place, and finally it was the political will and the direction and the command that led to death of al-Zawahiri.
Exactly, sir. As you said, the location was played a big part, and there have been reports that Pakistan's ISI helped the US find and locate and track al-Zawahiri. So, what do you think? Did ISI really help US armed forces in capturing and eliminating al-Zawahiri, or is this just another rumor?
See, these intelligence domains are a very big grey domains. What exactly is happening there, how it is happening there is not very clear and clean. So when we think that this is impossible, probably in the intelligence domain and the world, it is absolutely possible. So we can never rule out that ISI has not helped. And in this intelligence world, it's just this thing that while the ISI as an institution may not be supporting Americans, but there would be elements in the ISI who could be supporting Americans. So it is that grey. So that is the level of confusion that sometimes one comes across while dealing with issues and situations like this.
Exactly. Now, the last time I talked with you, I interviewed you, we spoke about how the Al-Qaeda is recuperating and gaining strength in Afghanistan. So, after al-Zawahiri's assassination, how do you think this will affect this terror organization in the coming days?
See, we have to understand the terror dynamics absolutely in Afghanistan, not global part, the dynamics of terrorist groups in Afghanistan. Recently, we have seen that in Afghanistan, ISK is taking prominence. It is carrying out number of attacks. There are media reports that number of attacks and number of firefights with the Talibanis have increased, especially in the central and the northwestern provinces of Afghanistan. And also there is a confrontation between ISK and Al-Qaeda. So Al-Qaeda was playing a very important role because Al-Qaeda was to the side of Taliban. After all, Al-Qaeda was given a patronage for so many years by the Taliban when the Talibans were not in Afghanistan but in Quetta and in the FATA region of Pakistan. And of course, without Pakistan's blessing, Al-Qaeda couldn't have been staying in those safe havens over there. So all things intermingling, but the fact of the matter is that by elimination of al-Zawahiri, Al-Qaeda gets weaker and ISK gets stronger, and this ISK getting stronger is a bad omen for both Pakistanis and the Talibanis.
Alright. Now, sir, there has been a lot of chatter about the Hellfire R9X missile that was used to eliminate Al-Zawahiri. Some are saying that it's like a bullet that kills without a blast. Some are saying that it's a silent missile. So what exactly is this missile, and does India also possess one of these?
To begin with the second part, India does not possess this version of Hellfire. India does possess Hellfires because Hellfires are integral to Apache helicopters. They are part of the package. So Hellfire is there. We have anti-tank Hellfires. There are, I think, 5 to 6 variants of Hellfires, and this particular Hellfire that was used, X9, was or is a secret weapon in the quiver of US, and they have used it by firing from MQ-9 Reaper. This, as you mentioned in your question, that this is a non-explosive missile. The warhead is, if I'm not wrong, is around 8 kgs or something, and total missile weighs around 45 kgs. It is a kinetic missile. It has a warhead that works on the kinetics. That means that whatever max speed this missile acquires during the flight, it is the power and the weight of the speed that translates into the kill on ground. And it has got a fantastic mechanism when it approaches or when it reaches or closes on to the target. There are a number of fins attached. They open up and they swell the missile in a very vicious circular motion that gives it accuracy, speed, and as it hits the target, the fins chop off and clear that area and create a great devastation at the target area. So this is what has been done, and you are right, it actually acts like a supersonic bullet.
All right. Now, the intelligence officials, Indian intelligence officials, have expressed that since Taliban had given Al-Zawahiri and the Al-Qaeda shelter, it's also presumed that India targeted terrorist organizations are also getting the same facilities from Taliban, and this is a concern for India. So is this something that we should be worried about?
There is a shelter mechanism for these terrorists in Afghanistan, because let's not understand that all the terrorist organizations, they have a very religious base to their argument. So Taliban itself is part of that same grouping, and whatever tactics the other terrorist organizations are employing, same tactics the Talibanis employed. Talibanis were fighting the Kafirs, the American Kafir, while the Indian terrorist organizations are fighting the Hindu Kafir in the Indian subcontinent. So basically the underlying theme is just the same. So it is very logical that Taliban is giving some kind of a shelter, but at the same time I would like to emphasize that when a high-level delegation had gone to Kabul from Indian side, Mr. Singh, a very accomplished diplomat, had gone there, taken a delegation. He was assured that any Indian terrorist organization, they will not be given that kind of a loose privilege from where they can work upon and target India. So I think let's give the devil this advantage of some truth in this, what they have said, because India has got a different connotation when it comes to Afghanistan, because they are very keen on getting India on board, and that is basically to counter the Pakistani influence. They want to break off from the Pakistani influence, and only category that can take them out of this quagmire is the Indian technology and Indian money and Indian aid. So they would like to appease India, and when you look at it from that context, probably they will not allow Indian terrorist organizations to take advantage and work against our interest.
All right. Now, sir, my last question. We all admire how the US armed forces swiftly eliminates any entity who possess a threat to their homeland. Like they eliminated bin Laden in Pakistan, now al-Zawahiri, and they did a lot of these attacks in Iraq, Syria as well when Trump eliminated ISIS head. And India also has a long list of these entities like Dawood Ibrahim, etc. So, do you think India will also start this remote elimination process who possess a threat to our homeland?
See, let's face realities. India is not America, and when I'm saying India is not America, I'm saying because India does not have that economic and military clout in the world, it does not have that kind of a weight. So, in copying America, in what America is doing, I think it will be very, very foolish on part of us even to think on those lines. And I would never recommend even casually that we should go along on those lines to carry out eliminations of those sort at your own, because as I mentioned that we do not have those kinds of capabilities, and let's not discount that Pakistan is not so capable less as well. But when it comes to morality, yes, we have taken a moral stand, and with moral righteousness comes that authority by which you can carry out such targeted attacks and missions like what we saw in Balakot and Uri, of course. But when we are talking of such targeted killings where your target is somewhere in the hinterland and not adjoining the line of control, then the dynamics are totally different, and I don't think so we should venture into those uncharted waters.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, sir. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Absolute pleasure, and it's always great talking to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. So that's all the news and scoops I have for you today. I'll see you all again tomorrow with some new updates. Today's episode was scripted by Prachi and produced by Lalit. This is your newsman Rudrashish Kanjilal signing off. Have a wonderful evening and keep listening to ABP Live podcast.
This is an ABP Live podcast.